Hi baby, what's up? It's Modi. Welcome back to my channel. So I remember telling you guys that I have like 3 videos for you, but no, if I talk about when he sacked me and then when we broke up, it's not like why we broke up. It's not like anything. So I'm linking the two together, when he sacked me and when we broke up. So let's start. So please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share this video, and also leave a comment on what video you want me to do next. Now let's get into the story. The first time Johnny sacked me from our house, no, it wasn't like sack. He made me sleep at the porch the whole night. Let's go back to when we were living at Chantime, okay? Because this happened when we were living at Chantime. So I was schooling at Creative Land Media School or whatever. I don't know the name. I think that's the name. And then we had a program at school. So I came back home very late. When I came back, the front porch was not locked. So I went inside. When I went inside, I locked it. And then I was moving to the main room and then it was locked. So I was like, okay, let me try and lock it with my key. And it wasn't working. Meanwhile, he was in the room. So I started knocking and I was like, Johnny, I'm home. Johnny, I'm home. And he was like, I should go back to he was like, I should go back to where I'm coming from. I'm like, I'm coming from school. Like, yo, I was literally coming from school. And he was like, he doesn't care. I should go back to where I'm coming from. And then he can't be with a lady who goes in and come out at any time. I'm like, and listen, this is the guy who goes out, not tell me, and come home at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for me to unlock the door for him every single time. And I didn't complain because if I complain, I'll be sacked from the house. So I was tolerating it. Whatever he does, I don't complain. He has this word that he always uses when he's talking to me. Let me say it in Chi, because when I say it in Chi, it sounds like yeah, you know. He was like, oh, then I won't him. Oh, you can't wait. Then I won't him. Like, if you are talking about something now, what do you know? Yes, that's in English. So I don't have conversation with him. Sometimes when he's going to drop me at school, we'll be in the car like 2 mute people. Like, no, we will not say anything, because I won't say anything for him to get angry and I'll sleep outside. So I was like, yo, I'm coming from school, and he was like, he doesn't care. So I thought it was a joke he would open the door. That was the first time. So I thought it was a joke he would open the door. So I went out and I was sitting in front of the porch. So there's this lady in the house who asked me, yeah baby, why are you sitting outside at this time? I was like, oh, I just want fresh air. And she made a joke like, oh, you go that you have AC in your room and you're looking for fresh air, what will I even do? When she said that, she left. She came back again. She was like, yeah baby, I hope you guys are not fighting, because we fight a lot. Yo, we fight literally a lot. And I was like, oh no, we are not fighting. Like, no, I just want fresh air. So I went inside and then I locked the porch and I was knocking for him to open the door for me. He did not. So I had to sleep at the porch the whole night. And if you're in Ghana, you know how the porch is. When you live in a single room with porch, yo, the mosquitoes, honey, they were sucking all of my blood. Like, yo, like I think I didn't have blood the next morning. I'm joking. Anyways, that was the first time he sacked me. So the next morning I went back to school. And one thing about Johnny is that if he wants to have coitus with you and you don't want to do it, he will not give you money for school. He will not give you money to eat, but he will go out, eat, and then come back home. That's how he is. So this is the second time he sacked me. I was on my phone. Okay, he bought me an iPhone 5, I think. Was it? Yeah, he bought me an iPhone 5. So I was on my phone chatting with my friends, and he was like, I should give my phone to him. And I'm like, no, I won't do that. And he was like, give your phone to me. I was like, no. So he in an anger form, he took the phone, took my SIM out, and gave me the SIM and took his phone. So I was on the bed with a cloth tied around me, and he was like, get out. I'm like, what? And he was like, yes, get out. I'm like, as in, how? And he was like, go back to your mother's house. I'm like, yo, how? So when I said that, when I asked him how and why, he didn't answer me and he went out. So I was like, okay, I have my small phone, so I can play my small phone and watch TV. So I was in the room, still with the clothes tied around me. I think I'll act it out for you guys to see how I was dressed when he sacked me. So when he came back around, He came back around 11 p.m. asked me, are you still here? And I'm like, yes, I don't have anywhere to go. I know I had like my mother's house. No, I think my mother was living in Kumasi then, so I didn't have anywhere to go. True, my mother was living in Kumasi, so I didn't have anywhere to go. So he was like, get out, get out, get out, get out. And if I don't know if any of my friends have seen the anger. I think Antoinette, a friend of mine, have seen the anger of have seen the anger I mentioned his name, have seen the anger of Johnny. Like when he's angry, he doesn't care who is there, he will beat you, yo. And I was mellow for him because I can fight him, yo. I can even beat him. So I went outside thinking I might sleep at the porch. So I was sitting at the porch, and then he came. I was still on my small phone because he didn't buy me the small phone, so he can't take the small phone from me. So he came at the. I'm so sorry, I have like stuffy nose. He was at the porch, and then he came and he was like, "Are you still here?" Then I think it was around 12:30, 1 o'clock ish a.m. And I'm like, Johnny, I have nowhere to go. My mother is not here, so I can't go back home. And he was like, he doesn't care, I should leave. So he sacked me from the porch. And then I was standing outside. So I went outside thinking this boy will call me back in and then let me sleep or then sack me the next morning. He did not. So what I did was I went outside at the junction of our house, cloth around me and with my small phone, and then I had no one that I could call because all my friends live with their boyfriends, so I didn't have anyone that I can call and go sleep at their place. So, oh my goodness, I was like, I'm not going to cry. I'm so sorry, okay. So, what I did was I was standing outside, and where we were living, yeah. Oh my god. So where we're living, yeah, there's this. It's like closer to Main Street. So I was with the wrapper tied around me, and I was standing outside. I didn't have anywhere to go, so I had to call a guy friend of mine that I know from New Boy Town. His name is Ora. Like, I'm mentioning his real name, so if he watches this video, he will know that I'm not telling lies. So I called Ora, and Ora was like, hey, why are you calling me with this number? And I'm like, oh, 2 phones. I had the small one and then iPhone. So I was like, Johnny took his phone, so I'm calling you with the other number. And he was like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm standing outside. Like, where we live, he asked outside where, like close to the junction. And it was late. It was 1 a.m. This boy sacked me at 1 a.m. knowing very well that I have nowhere to go. So I called the guy, and then the guy came, and then he took me to his place. I have no from, I think when I was in Happy Home, like a long time. So he took me to his place, and he was like, yeah baby, I don't know what is going on with you and Johnny, but I think this is hard time, like you just leave, because you can't go through this like every single time. Whenever you guys have a fight, he sack you. Whenever you guys have a fight, he sack you. And this is the extreme. It's 1 a.m. Like, yo, what if I hadn't picked my phone? Where would you have slept? Like, where would you even have gone? I'm like, I don't know. So I slept at our house, and the next morning I went to he called a friend of ours, that's Hannah. He called Hannah, and Hannah to on his house, and then we went to Yasmin's boutique and bought like clothes for me. So I lived with Ora for I think about a week, and this boy hadn't called. Like, he hasn't even called me like to ask my whereabouts or anything. He didn't call me. So I called him. I don't know why I called him. Like I'm saying, I think I liked him too much. No, I liked him too much that I felt that I won't get anyone to like me like how Johnny likes me. Like, yo, in my mind, that's what I thought, because I was in an abused relationship, verbal abuse, physical abuse, emotionally abuse, everything together. This boy beats me, insults me, makes me feel worthless. So I called him and I was like, so you're not even going to check up on me and ask where I am? And he was like, oh, I know probably you are at one of your friends' house. I'm like, which friend am I going to sleep at their house for 1 week? all my friends are living with their boyfriend. It will never happen. So which friend? So like, do you even love me? Because it was too much. Like, I've left home around 1 a.m. for 7 days, like a week. You didn't bother like to call or to check up on me. If I hadn't called, I'm sure that would be the end of our relationship. So I called Johnny and I told him where I was, but I lied. I didn't tell his sister's place. So he was like, okay, can you come home today? I'm like, okay. So I went home, and then we never, Johnny and I never spoke about anything. When we fight, we don't speak about it. When he sacked me, we don't speak about it. When he buys me gifts, we don't speak about it. It was like, the relationship was like, oh, yeah, okay, we are just there. That's how the relationship was. So now let's move back to when we rented the chamber and hall self-contained. So when we moved to the chamber and hall self-contained place, it didn't stop there. Please trust me, it didn't stop that, but it took a while for it to come back again. It took like a long time for him to sack me, because my mother called him and then spoke to him about it. So it took like a long time. So we were happy, like, yo, we're having fun in the relationship, even though he wasn't taking me anywhere. I think he thought that I wasn't good enough to go out with, like going out, like partying and all that. Or yeah, and one time he took me out to, is it OJ's? I don't know if that, yeah, he took me out to OJ's, and then we met his group of friends, and one guy was like, hey Johnny, who is this girl? And Johnny was like, oh, that's my serious girlfriend. And he was like, yo, and then you bring these stupid girls here every single time. Thank you for saying it in front of him. Like, the guy was like grown than him, so I'm sure he can't do anything to the guy. So when the guy said that, I was like, I smiled, and then we went home. So whilst we were going, there's this guy, I think they were at my back, so I was the only person walking. There's this guy calling me. I didn't mind the guy, and the guy walked over. So when the guy walked over, he was like, what's your name? I didn't mind him, because I know my ex-boyfriend and his friends like were coming, and I didn't want to cause any trouble. So I was just minding my business, walking home. No, I wasn't walking, like, definitely we are going to drive. So I was just walking to where the car is, and then the guy was like, give me your number. I'm like, sorry, I can't give you. When I said I'm sorry, I can't give you my number, they only heard my number. Trust me, that's the only thing Johnny said he heard, me saying my number. And I'm like, no, I was telling the guy he can't have my number because I'm with my boyfriend. And he got angry, but then he didn't react. So he went back home. That night he packed my stuff. But that night I slept at the hall. I didn't sleep outside. I slept at the hall, and he slept at the bedroom. He packed my stuff and then kept it at the hall. So the next morning I packed my stuff back to the wardrobe. And I think that 2 days later, I wanted to go. I had a tattoo here. I don't know if I can. I'll put the picture here. I had a tattoo here, and I wanted to go and clean it. So I called a friend of mine, Antoinette. I was like, Antoinette, can you go with me to clean my tattoo? And she didn't agree on me cleaning my tattoo. I should have listened to her, but I didn't. So we went, and then we cleaned my tattoo, and then we got back home. But when we got back home, it was burning. So I went out, and then I called the guy, and then Johnny was like, who are you talking to? And I'm like, I'm talking to the guy who cleaned my tattoo for me. So I mentioned the guy's name, and he was like, yo, why are you calling this person? This person doesn't know anything. And Johnny feels he's the only person who knows something in this world. Like, yo, he knows everything, but other people don't know anything. He is the ogre in everything, but other people don't know anything. Trust me, you can tell Johnny that 1 + 1 is 2. He'll tell you, what do you know? 1 + 1 can be 3. 1 + 1 can be 4. He'll give you ways in which will make you feel that what you are saying is wrong. So when I got inside, he started insulting me in front of my friend. So I felt bad, and I'm like, oh, why are you doing that? You can't talk to me like that in front of my friend. And then he slapped me. So I slapped him back, and we started fighting. So when we started fighting, he took an iron, and I could see that Antoinette was like very scared on the sofa. Like, she was literally scared. So I was like, he took an iron and then hit me with the iron. So I was on the floor, I was like, you've hit me with the iron, you've hit me with the iron, you've hit me with the iron. So I went to the hall, and I told Antoinette to go home. So when Antoinette went home, he packed my stuff and then threw it at the sitting room. Mind you, Johnny is someone that will always take his stuff whenever, like, you guys have a fight. He bought me the wardrobe, so he took the wardrobe and brought out all my clothes from the wardrobe. So I was like, I think I kept the clothes at the sitting room for about a week. So I was sleeping in the sitting room. I bath in the bedroom, but I live at the sitting room. So I started posting on my status that I need a single room, self-contained, and I didn't have, like, I don't know where I was going to get the money. Like, yo, they said that access shall be given unto you. So I kept saying I need a single room, self-contained. I had nowhere to go. So I called my mother and was like, this is what Johnny has done. And my mother was like, why? I don't know, yes, sir. I don't know why. Like, why are you doing that? Do you want me to die? And I'm like, mom, I'm tired. I just want to leave. No, I didn't say I just want to leave. I was like, I'm tired. Can you please talk to him? So he packed my stuff and then I still leave. And my mother was like, no, I should go back to my grandmother's house. At this point, my mother was living at Kaswa. She's back to Accra, so she was living at Kaswa with my brother. So she was like, pack your stuff and go back to your grandmother's house. So I was like, okay. So I started packing. I had a taxi driver friend, Brown Mike. So I started packing my stuff from Johnny's place to my mother's place. But I left with the wardrobe. So when I packed the stuff to my mother's place, I keep crying. Like, I wasn't happy going back to my mother's place. So I was sitting, one time he came and I was sitting on the bed and he was like, oh yeah, let me say it in Chi and then say it in English. He was like, oh yeah, they were how call you. And I said, he was like, what are you doing here? Are you not gone? And I was like, no, I'm not sure I'll be going. And he was like, oh, if you know how annoying you are, you'd have gotten up from the bed and leave my house. So I left and I went to my mother's place. When I went to my mother's place, the first time I got there, trust me, I cried. I think I cried for the whole, like, 3 days straight. Like, I was crying for 3 days. My mother came back from my brother's place. So I was living in my mother's house with my mother. So my mother called my brother, my elder brother, and told my elder brother to come for us to, like, have a conversation with what's happening. Because I've been with him for a long time, like 9 years. Okay, 9 years as soon as I make 9 years. I've lived with him for 9 years, so we should talk about it. So when they called him, he was like, okay, the reason why he sacked me is he wants space. You want space? You can tell me to leave at my mother's place. Don't just pack my stuff. And my brother was like, is that all? And he was like, no, he doesn't want me to act, he doesn't want me to present, he doesn't want me to do anything. He wants me to be a housewife. And I chipped down, like, no, I can't be a housewife. No, it was even my brother. My brother was like, no, you can't tell her to do that, because Maud has, like, since childhood, she's always been interested in becoming an actress or a presenter. For that one day, if that's the only reason that you are breaking up with her or telling her you need space, then they will not agree on it. He should come back with a good excuse, because they will not take that. So he was like, okay, he will go and then pond over it and then come back again. So we talk about it. I was still living with my mother's house and he did not call. He never called. So once I was like, hey, I want to come and take my wardrobe. I got money to rent. I got money. That's another story to tell. I got money to rent. Someone literally gave me, like, money, like, yo, to rent. And everything happens for a reason, okay? If I didn't break up with him, I'm not sure that I would start a YouTube channel. No, I would never have. So probably I'll be, like, pregnant with, like, 3 or 4 kids. Like, yo, I'm not joking. I wouldn't have been here telling you this story or showing you what to wear. Like, yo, I would not do that, because he didn't want me to do that. I would probably be like, yo. So I called him that I'm coming for the wardrobe, and he was like, okay. I still had his key. So he was like, when you take your wardrobe, please put the key under the polytank. I'm like, okay. So I went there. I went in the evening. I called the cab. I went in the evening, and when they were taking the wardrobe, one of his friends met me, and he was like, "Why are you taking the wardrobe?" Like, oh, he knows that I'm taking the wardrobe, and he was like, "Oh yeah, baby, we will not let you go. We will not let you go." I'm like, he doesn't need me here. Like, we are not even together. The guy was like, okay, let me call him before you guys. He was like, let me call him before you guys take the stuff. I'm like, okay. So he called him and he was like, hey Johnny, what's up? Maud is here, or picking her stuff. And this boy was like, oh yes, I know. I told her to come and pick the stuff. And the guy was like, if you guys have a problem, why don't you sit down and talk about it? And he hung up. He doesn't like people talking to him about his relationship. So he hung up. The day I went for the wardrobe, I had already rented. So I took the wardrobe to Pokia. Helped me with that thing. Pokia helped me pack my stuff to the new place. So once I was in his house, I think once I was in his house, I had already rented, once I was in his house, I had already rented, but I was living with my mother. So Pokia had the keys to the place that I have rented. So Pokia took them to where they'll put the wardrobe in the new place. He told his friend that he's aware that I'm taking the stuff. So I took the stuff and I went to my mother's place. And then my mother called Johnny doesn't pick. My brothers called John doesn't pick. So I rented a single room self-contained. I got money from someone and I rented that place. And Pokia helped me pack everything inside. But mind you, what? Hey, when I moved to the single room here, I was still dating the guy. Trust me, I was still dating the guy. And then when he calls me and I don't pick, he'll go and tell my mother that I'm doing prostitution. Like I'm sleeping with, I live in a hostel. I live in a hostel with girls that prostituting, like yo. And my mom knows where I live. My mom knows where I live, even though she has never been there before. Whenever I go to my mother's place, I show her like pictures and all that. So my mother knows where I live. And the taxi driver also told my mom where I live. So my mother didn't believe him, and my mother realized that whenever we have a fight, this boy cook up stories and then tell my mother. He actually told my mother I was gay. Like, yo, I'm sleeping with ladies in a hostel, like a whole lot of things. If I want to come out, I'll come out on my own. You don't have the right to come out for me. Yo, I didn't send you. So that was one thing that I didn't like about him. He always come out for me. I don't know how he thought I don't know, forget him, that boy is stupid. So I was still dating him. I was still helping when I have, and he never gave me money. I didn't take money from him again because as at then I had a little bit, so I was helping him. So one time I got broke, like really, we were not together, like we've broken up, but we're still like having qualities with each other and all that. So one time I was very broke and I called him and I was like, hey, I need this amount of money to do something. And he was like, he said that. I don't know how to say that in English. I'm really sorry. Like, hey, even if you say it in English, it will not even sound as hurtful as me saying it in Chi. Like, if someone have left you, hey, no boy, you can't quite some even say it in English to make it sound nice. Like, I'm like, oh really? This is the same guy that I went and bought jeans, deodorant, body splash, perfumes for him on his birthday. Once we were not together. So in my mind, I thought, oh, we are helping ourselves. I still want to be friends with you because he's been good to me. He like, yo, he paid some of my fees. Like, yo, he's been good to me. So I was also being good to him. So I realized that me being good to him was not helping me. So why don't I do it with? So I was doing good to his mother and his sister. Like this boy talk like trash. Like he can tell you trash stuff for you to feel stupid. Yo. So that's how we broke up. I couldn't contain it again. The cheating, the sucking, like it was too much. I couldn't take it again. So I was like, you know what, I'd rather start afresh and be happy. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy he's not in my life. Yo. And I'm single. And I'm happy being single. So yeah, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends to join the baby family. Like I always say, always live a life for a living. Okay, I love you guys so much.